Hello students, now we are starting with this chapter, some natural phenomenon. In the previous class we have learned about the cyclone and its effect. In this lesson we will learn about some of the natural disasters like earthquake and lightning, and we will try to minimize the destruction caused by this phenomenon. Now students, we will discuss about what is natural phenomenon. So natural phenomenon is anything that occurs in its own in nature without any kind of human intervention. For example, volcanic eruptions, thunderstorm, lightning, earthquake, and they all are very disastrous. In this lesson, we will learn about how we can protect ourselves from these natural disasters. On this screen, you can see so many natural disasters has been shown. Now students, first of all we will discuss about lightning. So lightning is an electric discharge or an electric spark that occurs in nature on a major scale. It is caused by the accumulation of charges in the clouds. It can be deadly and cause the destruction of life and property. In ancient times, people were unaware of the cause of lightning and hence they were scared of it. But nowadays, scientists have evolved some precautions that can help us prepare and protect ourselves from this natural phenomenon. Now, the Greeks were already aware of the electric charges from 600 BC. They knew that when amber and fur are rubbed together, then amber can attract light objects like hair. Similarly, woolen clothes or polyester clothes are also attract hair and can produce a little spark or crackling sound when they are taken off from the body. In 1752, Benjamin Franklin, an American scientist, showed that lightning and the spark from your clothes are essentially the same phenomenon. Now the next question is, what are electric charges? We know that atoms carry a balanced charge. However, these charges may sometimes become out of order. We know that every atom is made up of subatomic particles like electrons, protons, and neutrons. Electrons are negatively charged particles, whereas protons are positively charged particles. So, this atom carry the charges over it. An object will be called electrically neutral if it is carrying a balanced proportion of positive and negative charges. An object is called charged object if there is an imbalance of electrons and protons in it. Now, how the charges develop by rubbing. When we rub two objects with each other, they get charged due to transfer of electrons between them. For example, if we rub a balloon with an animal fur, the balloon is made up of rubber, attracts the electron from the animal fur, and so the rubber having an excess of electrons while fur having a shortage of electrons. In the same way, if we rub a plastic comb with dry hair, the comb acquires some charges. Now students, you can see how the charges develops over the surface of the object when they are rubbed against each other. Now I am coming to the next thing, that what is an electrostatic force? The force of attraction or repulsion experienced by charged object is called electrostatic force. And then what is a static electric charge? Static charge or static electricity is an electricity charge which does not move. Static charges are a result when two objects are rubbed with each other, when two surfaces come in contact with each other repeatedly. It results in the transfer of electrons from one material to another. The strength of the electric charge depends upon the different factors like the temperature and humidity and properties of the surface such as its material. Now my question is how the charges transfer from the surface of one object to the another. It is done with the help of two processes, conduction and induction. Conduction: when a charged object comes in contact with a conductor, it results in the transfer of charge through the conductor. And induction: when a charged object is brought near a neutral object, it results in shifting in the position of electrons in the other object. And these charges means whether the object is charged or not, it can be detected by an instrument that is called electroscope. It was discovered by Abraham Bennett and he developed a gold leaf electroscope in 1787. It is a device which can test if an object is charged or not. Now you can see that what is the structure of this electroscope. Generally, gold and silver are used to construct an electroscope because they are good conductors of electricity. Otherwise, copper and aluminium can also be used. It consists of a glass jar having a vertical brass rod. The rod is inserted into the jar through the cork. The brass rod has a brass disc or horizontal rod attached to it. From the other end, the two leaves of gold are suspended, or you can also suspend an aluminium foil. Now the working of an electroscope. When a charged object touches the brass disc, electric charges get transferred from the brass rod to the gold leaves. As a result, the gold leaves move away from each other, depicting the presence of charges. Now students, we will come to know how this lightning develops, how this formation of lightning and thunderstorm takes place. During a thunderstorm, the hot air moves upward while the raindrops fall downwards. This leads to a separation of charges in the atmosphere. As a result, negative charges get accumulated in the lower edges of the cloud, while positive charges accumulate at the upper edges. The ground is accumulated with a positive charges all over. These charges begin to multiply due to increase in the wind and rainfall. Yes, the air is a poor conductor of electricity. Due to the heavy charges, it is unable to restrict the electric flow after some time. The negative charges and the positive charges meet, which result in the production of electric spark in the form of a streak of light accompanied by a huge sound. The streak is called lightning and the whole phenomenon is called electric discharge. This electric discharge can occur between two or more clouds. We know that lightning occurs as a streak of charges that fall towards the ground. Tall buildings, tall trees can easily conduct the charge towards the ground. So, that doesn't mean that short object would not be affected by lightning. So, here are some do's and don'ts in the next slide which we have to follow while lightning. In this slide, students, you can see how the lightning takes place. Below that, there is a lightning conductor. In order to protect building from lightning, a lightning conductor device is used. When the building is being constructed, a metallic rod having a height more than the building is placed in the walls of the building. One end of the rod is in the air while the other end is buried inside the earth. This rod is a conductor and hence during the lightning it allows the flow of electric charges to the ground. How does it work? The lightning conductor rod consists of pointed ends which are made up of copper wire. These copper wires are brought down along the building and are attached to a metallic plate in the ground. If lightning hits the building, the copper wires carry these charges quickly to the ground. Now, here are some lightning safety tips like that. In order to One should not come in contact with the running water, hence one should avoid bathing at that time. Do not use the telephone. Stay away from windows. Do not lean on walls because sometimes it may be possible if the wall will become wet, the electric current can flow through it. Lightning can flow through it. Avoid electronic equipment. Do not wash dishes. Unplug the appliances. These are some of the safety tips which we have to follow during lightning process. Now student, we will discuss about another natural disaster, that is earthquake. Some natural phenomenon such as thunderstorm and cyclone can be predicted by the meteorologist. However, there are certain natural phenomena that are uncertain and cannot be predicted accurately. One of them is an earthquake. Earthquake is a natural phenomenon that occurs as shaking or trembling of the earth's surface. It occurs or lasts for a very short span of time. The main cause of earthquake is disturbances inside the crust of the earth. Deep inside the earth, earthquakes occur all the time. However, they are not noticeable on the earth's surface. Sometimes major earthquakes occur on the earth's surface which can be destructive. Earthquake led to loss of life, loss of property, flood, landslide, tsunamis. Now, what are the causes of earthquake? Earth's surface is divided into several layers: the crust, mantle, inner core and outer core. The outermost layer of the earth is divided into several plates, and these plates are called tectonic plates, and they are always moving. So as they move past each other or collide, disturbances are caused in the earth crust, and these disturbances are called earthquakes or the tremor. Now the next thing is, what are seismic zones? The movement of the plates cause an earthquake. Hence, the earthquakes are most likely to occur on their boundaries. The areas that lie on the boundary of these plates are called weak zones or the seismic zones or the fault zones. Now the next question is, what is Richter scale? So a scale which is used to determine the magnitude or strength of an earthquake is called the Richter scale. The destructive earthquake have a Richter scale magnitude more than 7. A Richter scale is not a linear scale, that is, a magnitude of Richter scale 6 does not imply that it is 1.5 times more destructive than the earthquake with a magnitude of 4. It rather means that an earthquake of a magnitude 6 is 100 times more powerful than the earthquake with a magnitude of 4. Before discussing the do's and don'ts of during the earthquake, I want to tell you some more things about the earthquake. First of all, what is epicenter? So epicenter is a region on the earth's surface that lies just above the focus of the earthquake is called epicenter. The earthquake doesn't originate from the epicenter. Then what is focus? The focus of an earthquake is a point inside the earth's surface where the earthquake originates. It is also called hypocenter. And the earthquake produces waves on the earth's surface which are called seismic waves. Now I am coming to the something which we have to discuss, we have to follow during the earthquake. First of all, whenever we feel the tremor, don't use the elevator. Get under the desk and hold on. Cover your head and neck. Stay away from utility wires or the electrical wires. Do not stand at the doorway. Stay away from potentially dangerous objects. Drive to clear area and avoid bridges. These are some of the do's and don'ts which you have to follow. Yes, one more thing I want to add. One should find a place which has no tall buildings around or even trees. Now student, what is a seismograph? Yes, The seismograph is an instrument which can record the seismic waves. It contains a metal rod or a pendulum which can vibrate as the earthquake occurs. The metal rod is attached to a pen which records the waves on the paper. Scientists study these waves and then construct a map of the earthquake. This also helps them in determining the power of the earthquake. Thank you, students.